Not far from my hello goodbye.
It's pretty obvious at this point that few artists have managed to encapsulate me quite like Aries has. I mean, I made an entire video about all of his work and just gushing about how much of an impact he's made on me. And that is now my most popular video. Thank you, by the way. That video actually took about a month to make, and at the very tail end of it, I was just getting ready to finish up my editing, doing the finishing touches, and he announced a new album. It was exactly what we had been waiting for. I was super excited, but I didn't know if I wanted to scrap the video or not. Obviously, I didn't, but I'd be lying to you if I said that I didn't think about it. I continued with it because I really liked what I had going, and I could always make a video about this new album, specifically itself. Well, here we are, and this one was a doozy. This one took me a lot longer to make, and I honestly didn't think I was gonna finish it at multiple points. But hopefully, I can make a video that you enjoy just as much as my last Aries video. So all I'm really asking is that you believe in me.
One sec.
So when I break down an album, I actually break down the track list into different categories so I can more easily compartmentalize my thoughts on them. Of course, I still listen to the full track list and the full album, and I try to pick out the story in it. But when I think of breaking down an entire album in one go and one run, I shut down completely. It would just be way too much to comprehend. And that is actually partially on why this video took so long to write. And before I tell you the pillars that I've made for this album, there's something that I have to say, and it's kind of annoying that I have to say it. As reductive as I think it is to say, everything here is subjective. The way I experience music and break down music and think about it and interpret it is completely that of my own. It's not yours. You may disagree with me, and that's okay. But the reason I'm saying this now is because I don't want to say it every 5 seconds throughout the video. Even when I get authoritative and I say this is what it is, you can still disagree with me. If you interpret it a different way, that's good. I even implore you to leave that stuff in the comments because differing opinions is what I'm here for. I sit in the camp of there can be no art if everything is truly subjective, but hey, that's a topic for another day. Today we're gonna talk about Aries' amazing sophomore album. Believe in Me has 3 central themes, or pillars as I call them. I mean, these things could be anything from subject matter to vibe to overall theme. I don't do this for every album, but I'd say a good 95% of them I do. More specifically, it's hard to do this on a concept album that may be telling an overarching story, because to impose on that in a review format can lead to one missing the point of the album entirely. Either that, or you may just jumble up your own message and everybody else thinks that you misinterpreted the album. Then at that point, what's the point of even doing it? I mean, and these aren't concrete either. I mean, I'm not in the business of breaking things down and keeping them in boxes though, like an indoor cat. Like, Fool's Gold is very much ego, right? But it could also cross over into parents, because if he made a milli, his mommy made a milli, right? I mean, we love alliteration over here, so hey. I mean, so that's like an indoor cat that likes to take a stroll at the golf course and kill a couple chipmunks, you know what I mean? I don't know what I'm saying. And here are what songs are in what pillars, and I'd like to go one pillar at a time and break down each song. Then we can all have the cathartic ending of putting it all together at the end of the video. It'll be super satisfying for everybody. Deal? Part 1, Ego is the mother of progress. When the album kicks off, I'd say the first 3 songs fit perfectly within Ego. And you have to understand, when I say that, it's not because of the sound or subject matter. It's about the feeling these songs give off. I mean, the whole album kicks off with a repetitious and distorted siren. And sirens traditionally are made and used to put the human on edge. They are meant to sound unnatural. They're supposed to make us perk up and go, what the hell is that?
This message is transmitted at the request of the United States Office of Civil Defense.
Combine that with us being conditioned since we were kids to never want to hear a siren in real life, in the real world, because that just means your whole life is about to change, basically. Whether it's from a nuke, a tornado, emergency vehicle, siren means bad. So it begs the question, why does Aries start the album with a siren? Well, it does a good job of introducing us to the sample, and honestly, the song would have been alright without this introduction to the sample, but I'm glad that it's here. But I do think it was put here with intention. This is Aries telling us, emotionally, shit is about to hit the fan. Get ready. And it does immediately. Verse 1 is basically saying it's us against the world. More foes come in all shapes and our best days are behind us. Enemies are behind our lines. So much like a real life war, God can't save you, my money will. I like that line in particular because here in America, we love our capital G God. I mean, so much so to where it's actually written on our money. But at the end of the day, God doesn't fight in wars. Whoever has the most resources and money will win. Aries here subtly compares himself to an idealistic blob of leadership that a country idolizes to make himself big. He is the bigger person in the relationship in his mind, and his ego is telling him that. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the people or resources to fight, it doesn't matter how much money you have. I know this whole war analogy kind of sucks, but it's the only thing that really came to mind that I can accurately compare this and what I'm interpreting it to. So just bear with me, I really appreciate it. Aries realizes there's no more soldiers over there. She can't fight the war. And now she's basically just a burden. She can no longer help him and nudge him forward in this shitty game that he plays. So now he can't live with her, but he also can't live without her. Verse 2, communication is completely scuffed and Aries is completely blaming himself for it. I mean, he's sitting there beating himself up for not wanting to talk, but then getting mad that they're not talking. And I hear you asking, why is this song not in the girls pillar? Because this whole thing has just been about a girl. Well, that's because this twisted freak is getting off on it, saying things like, does it get you high enough? Playing cat and mouse in a relationship is detrimental, but he's having fun. Put a bounty on his head and hunt him down, and when you catch him, hopefully you'll be one step closer to realizing he's just toying with you. He's enjoying what's happening, but secretly he longs for the day that you realize what's happening and that you will leave him for good. But until you do, he is 10 toes down, gripping the curb. He's gonna stay right here. And I mean, all of this is reiterated in the outro of the song. Stop fucking playing your goddamn games. I mean, it's like even his friends are telling him to stop. I mean, this is a pretty powerful statement to start the album with. Aries is hyper aware of what he does, how he manipulates, and how he maneuvers through social situations. And he doesn't like that about himself. He hates it. But the song is written in the perspective of him and his ego, making it so he's always in the wrong. When at the end of the day, it's him being toxic. He is greedy and he's going to get what he wants. And much like Fool's Gold, where he's passionately confessing his love for money, all of this is at the detriment of his relationship. But moving on to Fool's Gold itself, the entire song is saying, hey, you think that you're the big dog in town? You just walked in. I have my feet up. I don't even care that you're here. You're not going to get any respect from me. I'm the big dog here. This could be a not so subtle commentary on how other artists and rappers tend to treat their circle after coming into wealth and money. I only say this because Aries talks about drugs a lot in his songs, but very rarely is it so outspoken and so direct. Give me some love drugs I can make an album out of. It's right there. It's in black and white. Going as far as to say, you want fun times, I need nothing less. The natural aversion to living a normal life when you come into money is understandable. This is Aries saying that he wants nothing less. He was never able to party every night, but now that he has it, he's going to do just that. And this is behavior that is incubated by literally all media for the past 20 years. It's in our movies, songs, TV shows, and then we have social media to incubate that behavior behind closed doors. It's just a never-ending cycle. The movies are like shepherding us in and saying this is what's cool. Partying every night and listening to When I'm Gone by Wiz Khalifa. And social media is like the security guards that are making sure we get to the highs in life and kicking us in the ass emotionally when we feel like we're not actually living it. And that's something that I've struggled with in my own life. And for Aries to make commentary on that stuff in the very medium that incubates the behavior, it hits in a way that a lot of his other songs don't. And this ideology is complemented in the second verse, where we get kind of a POV of another person, and they see Aries destroying his life. Like they are gripping a fence in this storm that is Aries and constant partying. He used to run with the crown. He used to be a king, but now he's fallen. Headed to the promised land, he let go of his breath. Let's go. Those are the lyrics. And I think this is something that may have actually happened to Aries. No, I don't think Aries does drugs anymore or anything like that, but this point of view from a party rocker is a very potent one for people who are artists and people who aren't. I mean, Aries even says later in the album that he doesn't do coke with his new LA friends, so I don't think he's on any hard drugs. Okay, I'm aware that I'm looking way too deep into the song. The song is just supposed to be fun. I think it has a profound meaning, and it really bodes well to the world that Aries is trying to paint on this album. But it's just fun. I'm doing too much with this one, guys. But this isn't the only fun song. The next one is probably the most fun on the album. Along with being the last one in the ego pillar, we're on to Riding. And this is definitely the most confident song on the album. I mean, barring the lyrics, the instrumental just oozes confidence. I mean, this thing is short and sweet, but after every verse and hook, the instrumental progresses, bringing on a new feeling of satisfaction. All leading up to when Aries just belts and establishes premier godhood at the tail end of the track. Quintessential banger, but it also says more than some of the other tracks with just its instrumental. I could probably make an hour-long video about this song alone and everything I love about the lyrics, but I'm gonna try to make it short here. Every other line in this song is Aries saying that in some way he is better than you, and it is very cleverly done. All the nuances that you're forced to accept, that's him saying, I'm not changing for you. Why would I change myself for you? You were just forced to accept those. Then 2 lines later, he insinuates that he is owed sex from this person, but also flipping the coin and saying that he's there for her whenever she needs him. I mean, this is just another hint at the spiral of shitty behavior he has towards his significant others. I mean, I just love this song so much because we all have our Joker arcs, right? You know, like a few days where everything's shit, so we just kind of lean into our shitty behavior because it's all shit anyway. I mean, there is no internal remorse gleaning through the lines like there is on Bounty Hunter with this song. And I love it for that. This song is him saying he's basically become the worst version of himself and he's proud of it. So let's make a banger. Like, there is a ton of I want in this song and a ton of soliciting threesomes. But without a doubt, the ending of this song is the best part of the song and one of the best parts in the entire album. For the first time in his discography, he drops the instrumental to a skeletal, basslineless version of itself and lets his vocals take the reins. Along with an added flute, Aries declares that he is not only a giant in the eyes of his friends and family, but also in the eyes of himself. As he is so big, he can touch the skies with the palms of his hands. An attribute that is usually reserved for no less than gods in traditional folklore. And the confidence that this track gives me should be illegal. I mean, I'll curb stomp a Muppet right now, I don't care. I have never been so close to smashing my head through a desk that when I first heard this song. I mean, you can ask Jesse. But that'll conclude my examination of this song, but I only touched on like 5 lines or something like that. Like, seriously, you gotta go listen to it. It's a great song. Part 2, said that you're a lesbian girl, me too. I don't even know what these names are, so just chill. This section has the most songs in it, but hopefully it won't take too long because a lot of these are way more straightforward. But let's start with ETA, a song about trying to incubate a relationship of friends with benefits and just something isn't clicking. But I've been there before. The other party, there's just something not clicking over there and they think that they can be more than you want them to. Where the similarities between me and Aries differ is he builds up this image of he is coming and going as he pleases. I can never do something like that because that's just not who I am. But the track is like painting a picture of somebody who just doesn't know what he wants, but it sounds sad. Like, it makes you want to feel bad for him. That's that double-edged sword stuff with Aries that I really like. I spent the entire last video talking about that specific feeling. It has a sad, melancholy vibe to it, even though it's not that upon first listen. Keep that sentiment in mind because that is going to be a recurring theme through this entire pillar. We find out later in the song that this is about him mourning. He's mourning the loss of somebody. And this is something that I am most definitely gonna get wrong because this entire leg of the song is just so vague. So whatever interpretation you may have, let me know in the comments because I don't feel 100% confident in this interpretation of it. But it seems like he's talking about somebody who was close to him, maybe a family member who never got to see old age. I wish you a life you could live into your gray hair. Mama cried when she heard you wouldn't make it. And the next line I am completely all for because I'm always for an artist who questions their existence through the medium that they express themselves. He says something so simple but effective. Why'd they let me stay here? That line is such a monkey wrench in the message of this song, or at least what I thought was the message of this song. If I can go through an entire song thinking it's about one thing, and then you have one line, 1 or 2 lines that completely recontextualizes it to where I have to go back and listen to the song again to get the double layered meaning, I love you. That is literally one of my favorite, like, I guess, plot devices in any form of art ever. I love Attack on Titan. That's what they did. I love the song Yesterday by Atmosphere. It's about a girl that he once dated in the past and then he saw him on the street one time. He uses the situational imagery of the song to portray images of when they were once kicking it, sharing a cigarette together because they're both fools. The hook is, I thought I saw you yesterday, but I didn't stop because you were walking the opposite way. I guess I could have shouted out your name, but even if it was you, I don't know what I would say. And towards the end of the song, he says, I never thought about the world without you, but I promise I'll never say another bad word about you. I thought I saw you yesterday, but I knew it wasn't you because you passed away, Dad. Damn, bro. Even just thinking about that song can get me choked up if I overthink it too much. Like, I'm not even joking. I love that song. And my point in saying all that is the song would have been half as powerful if we knew it was about his dad from the start. And he kind of uses the context of, if it's a rap song and it's about somebody vague, we usually assume it's a girl, a woman, an ex, whatever. That's what makes this song so effective, because once the rug gets pulled out from under you and it's his dad that he's talking about, you need to listen to that song again, because sharing a cigarette because we're both fools, there's just like generational learning there. Like there's so much that is such a layered song, and that's what this Aries song does. This is what ETA does. Listen, all this to say that I really like how layered this song is, and I think that's something I want to see more in song creation. This technique of subverting expectations in music is just so good, and I want to see it done more, and I think Aries pulled it off quite effectively here. We see this done all the time in movies and TV shows. I want it in more music, and that is also why it's one of my favorite songs on the album. Plus the callback to Genie saying that he left the link in his bio. Love that. And as somebody who drives a Mazda, I felt shouted out when he said zoom zoom. I'm just gonna put it out there. But moving on to One Punch, this is one of the more straightforward ones. I know I said straightforward earlier and then I just went on that whole tangent, but this one is definitely more straightforward in my opinion. This is just Aries flexing his toxic trait of love bombing this girl. The whole song is just saying that he would stay and fight for this girl, but given the context of the rest of the album, that's why I say it's a love bomb, you know, a toxic thing, not necessarily an actual, I'm gonna stay here and fight for you, fight for this relationship, when every other song, he's just treating this person like shit. Of course, there's always the chance of this could be somebody else, but I like to think that these songs are all about the same person, but that is definitely wishful thinking though, and I understand that. I mean, in this song, he's just exuding this terrible behavior of saying sorry after doing the shitty thing and saying that it's not going to happen again. He's going to protect you from happening again, even though we know that's not true, because we wouldn't have half this album if it was. But he does do a couple other things on this song that I really like saying when the lights go out, let's begin, hearkening to maybe putting the album on repeat because the very last song is called When the Lights Go Out. And then later saying he would never ride a limousine. He denounces the bachelor lifestyle. Even when he's not perfect, he's planting that seed in her head just for the future, and the cycle continues. But moving on, Easy is my favorite song on the album. You could say that Aries is decently self-aware, yes? But it's tenfold on this song. Everything I've been saying in this whole section of the video, he says it in this song in 2 minutes. The self-awareness and foresight is getting to him. He knows that he gets away with too much. I've gotten the farthest I've ever got this time, and you don't have the power to control me. You are just way too easy on me. You have to give me consequences to ground me in some way, or I'm just gonna keep doing it. They break up. Aries takes in the joy of being single. Then they do it all over again. Get back together. It doesn't matter whose side you pick because it's all gonna happen again anyway. Loop the hook. You want to talk about a real piece of work. Verse 1. Aries hopes that he is all she can think about when he's not home. It's the double standard of I can go out, but I don't want you to go out. So I hope that you are so busy thinking about me and what I'm doing that you can't even think about getting out of the house. But he's still worried about her. So he needs her to send pictures on some toxic, possessive shit. Aries brings up his exes and all of a sudden it's how did you end up where you are? Like this night out has gone completely wrong. Like could you imagine the mental anguish you would be in if you are stuck at home and your significant other isn't answering, but the last thing that you heard from them is that they're hanging out with their ex? Bro, just fucking throw their shit out the window. I mean, especially if it's repeated behavior. But, you know, this girl is too weak. She's not going to be able to do that, and he knows it. He can get away with this stuff, and he knows it. She won't stand up for herself to make herself happier in the long run. She just can't. The short-term pain is too much for her to handle. But because of that, Aries left. He ran out for good. Now she's stuck there wondering why he vanished. Verse 2, Aries turns inward and reflects on himself. He prophesizes that there's a storm rolling in, ready to take the sunshine away, while he drowns himself in his vices after taking a step back from this relationship, Ginobili, confessing that he sold his soul after leaving. This could have something to do with his fame, but honestly, I would be surprised if it wasn't connected to the relationship somehow. Roll the hook a couple more times, you got yourself a great song. I mean, this is the most transparent Aries has been, not only with us, but with him. Amazing song, my favorite on the album. How Rude is most likely about drugs, but I find it to make way more sense when contextualizing it in a relationship. This to me is Aries saying that he is a boring partner. He'd rather stay inside, and this makes his girl kind of feel lukewarm on the relationship. He's also asking her not to push him away because what would he do without her? And he calls himself rude because he's got such a big ego, saying that he can't lose. yes, you can, dude. She can leave you. He's basically saying, leave me. You want to leave me. Right. That's not even a thing. You can't leave me. And then he'll turn around and say, hey, I'm sorry, baby. Like, I didn't mean to do that. That was rude of me. But I'll be honest, the first half of this song doesn't entice me nearly as much as the second half. The beat switches to a minimalistic bass line, and Aries squeaks these words out like he has to say it, but he doesn't want to. I don't want to hold on, but it's hard to live without you. It almost reads like Aries' critique of someone acting a groupie, or at least someone who's not supposed to be acting like a groupie. The saying, let bygones be bygones, being used as a defense mechanism here. And he knows it. He's saying it's just a way to keep him safe. Then the second half of this outro is nothing but pure, unadulterated reflection. It seems like he's willing to give the relationship another shot. Here, I'll prove it. I'll buy you a bracelet. But he knows deep down that it's not meant to be. His sister, brother, cousin, all asking if it could be what he knows it's not. A long-lasting relationship. And the last 4 lines are some of Aries' best writing. You have to come from such a place of growth to be able to write these things. You fell beyond my time and you wish I would have noticed. Uphill battle for life, your ceiling doesn't show it. By this time, Aries has already fallen out of love with her, but she had just fallen in love with him. She fell beyond his time and he never took the time to notice her or her feelings. Like, imagine falling in love with somebody, and the second that feeling, that thought crosses your mind of, oh my gosh, I'm actually in love right now, they just brush you off. This is just another toxic trait that this man has and will probably never actively try to fix. Trying to keep this relationship together is an uphill battle, and they will most likely always be fighting against that leverage. And when he looks at her, he sees somebody who's already reached their peak in the relationship. There's nothing else she can offer. A pretty harsh way to end the song, and I'm pretty sure the end of that relationship, but it's not the end of Aries' reflection. The next song has a lot of these same themes in it. I know I'm a mess. I just got back from work and I know I've been talking for a super long time. Are you doing okay? Are you alright? Drink some water. You look like you need some. But we're gonna keep just chugging along here, okay? Right along to Ditto, which is one of the singles from the album that was out before the album itself. On Ditto, we seemingly see Aries falling in love with a girl, and it just seems like the whole song is one big pickup line. This is one of the only times we see Aries put his ego on the line. He's out at maybe a club, a bar, something. He sees a girl and he thinks he wants to try to pick her up, and he's saying, it looks like her body count may be up in the thousands. A getaway for you outside of me is Aries saying that for her, the getaway, the move, is to talk to another guy. Aries knows he shouldn't be offended, he shouldn't even bat an eye at this, but he kind of likes this girl, so he doesn't really like the fact that she is talking to another guy. That was the most jumbled way I could say that, but I think you got it. Aries is assuming that it's his defeat now. Go time, bat her up, right? He's just got to take a shot because he might as well have lost at this point. But he never knows, she might be into him. We don't know until he takes his shot. Would you roll me? Would you roll the dice on me? I don't want to get shelved. He doesn't want to be put to the side. It's fine. I mean, and nobody really does. And he doesn't want to waste his time on a relationship if she's not going to reciprocate. In the meantime, she is stonewalling him. She's not talking to him at all. He says it feels like winning the lottery if she ever says anything to him. Then he does the thing where a guy wants to try to pick up a girl based off of his status or wealth, which is a super thin and ill-conceited insecurity front, right? I think it's so shallow and it just doesn't work. Ask The Weeknd. Huzzah! She decides to go out with him and it just didn't work. It didn't work at all. The whole relationship is just shallow, and it even gets so bad to where he's saying that even her personality is ugly. That's a yikes, bro. He just feels numb to the whole situation. He's like in a comatose, he says, and she does the thing where she runs off to other guys to go cry to them for affirmation and attention. It's just something that every insecure girl who thinks they're hot shit does. Ultimately, they both just feel nothing. When they finally break up, they can look at each other and go, ditto. Me too. Nothing. I shit you not, it took me like an hour to decide whether or not I wanted to use this interpretation or another one that I have where Aries is portraying himself as Ditto, the Pokemon. But alas, this one was the one that made more sense, especially with the context of the song before it. But anyway, moving on. When the Lights Go Out, the very last song on the album, Aries is feeling good. That is literally what I take away from this. It seems like Aries came out of this a better man. He's happier. He's in a happier place now, in a better place, and I think he's just enjoying life. You don't put a guitar solo in like that and you're not enjoying life. That's just how it is. But yeah, the song itself is Aries confessing his love for a girl. I mean, there's not really much to break down. It's really pretty straightforward. Yeah, I think you can kind of get the gist pretty well from just like a surface level listen. So Intermission. So this is by far the longest video I've ever actually put together, so I really hope you're liking it. Don't worry, I don't have any ad reads or anything. I just wanted to say thank you for supporting me and listening this far into the video. I want to do more videos like this, but they just take so long, so it just means a lot to me that you're here right now. And if you really like this video, go ahead and subscribe, because I think I'm going to be making more like it. Honestly, the dopamine hit I get after putting together each part of this video is really good, and it was really nice, and I'm getting a lot of satisfaction out of it, so I can definitely see myself doing this again. And I actually already have the next one in the works, so stay tuned for that. But anyway, that's enough of this little intermission. On to the video and the third pillar. Part 3, daddy issues. Of course, this is not actual daddy issues, just issues with both of his parents. And yes, I did just change my hoodie from the earlier section in the video. I've deprived you guys of this video for long enough. I don't need to prolong the shooting anymore. There are 2 songs in this part, and it is pretty straightforward, short and sweet, but a lot to unpack. Desperado upholds the image of Aries' parents being broke. This isn't the first time this sentiment has shown up in Aries' music, but it's the most on the nose, barring Outdated. But of course, Outdated is next. We'll get to that in a second. And if I'm being honest, most of this song fits more into the girls section, but the potentness of this angle, this parent angle for this song, just made me enjoy it way more upon listening. Like, yeah, it could be just another song about a girl or girls or whatever, but I like this angle of the parents. In verse 1, Aries talks about his mom being broke and his dad being broken. Dad gave into his vices a long time ago, and while Aries sits with him in the garage while he smokes, the attention that Aries is getting from him is most definitely fake. He lost his dad's attention a long time ago, and for most of this song, Aries is kind of reflecting on what it would be like if he were to lose his parents. And he's also at the same time acknowledging that he will never escape their tendencies. He's saying he's probably going to grow up to be just like his dad. And I do believe a lot of us in our generation feel the same way. I know I look at my parents and I'm like, yikes, no. And that's not just on like a personality level, that is on a how you treat people level, how you speak, how you talk to people. But I don't want to interject myself too much in here. This is all Aries. But Aries is also insinuating that his dad isn't much of a dad at all, being mom. He also has one line in here saying that there's a cobra around his waist, you know, signifying the Ouroboros cycle, which is always interesting, and I always love that angle. It's one of my favorite motifs that is ever brought into any piece of art. I do enjoy it a lot. One devouring itself to give its own rebirth. The cycle continues, and Aries fears that his son will be just like him. CSEP-001, the Ouroboros cycle. It's a great proposal, highly recommend. Verse 2, Aries' mom is going to work even though she hates it every single day of her life. He says that she's gonna work till the day she dies. It ain't over till it's over. Aries, the kid, the desperado on the sidelines, just watching his mom kill herself slowly every single day. He knows that she sees him and how it's impacting him, but she refuses to give it any attention. That's leaving him on red. Just saying she sees him, but she doesn't see him. I think that was the deepest thing I've ever said. Ooh, what is this? Moving on, let's go to Outdated. This song initially turned me away because historically I've not been a fan of remixes, and I love Surrender by Cheap Trick. But I must say, I'm a fan of the interpolation that he did, and I love the angle that he had with it. I love the direction he took it. It seems his parents had marital issues that stem from financial crises, as the hook implies. Then maybe once Aries found financial success, that mended their relationship a little bit. And I'm not exactly 100% sure on this interpretation. And with this stuff specifically, nobody knows exactly 1000% what he's talking about. Some of this song is super vague, but of course, nobody knows what it's like to be in Aries' shoes other than Aries. The song just talks about his relationship with his parents, saying that they are swinging in and out of focus. I think anybody who has parents with marital issues will find some kind of comfort in this song. I know it's already insinuated. I have issues with my parents. I'm not the greatest. I just spent 3 fucking months making a YouTube video. Something went wrong somewhere. But I won't harp on that too long because the song is amazing and I enjoy it a lot. And this one is one of those songs that I really want to keep as open as possible because I think it'll mean a lot more to a lot more people if you find your own meaning in it. But moving on, you may have noticed that there is a song that isn't in any pillar. That being Kids on Molly. I tried really hard to put it into one of the pillars, but I couldn't quite make it fit. And after sleeping on it for a couple nights, I decided to just leave it alone by itself. Now this song has a very surface level meaning of drugs and its effect on the youth, hence the name, right? But the interpretation that I came up with that I liked a lot more than that one, honestly, is one that has a grander picture of critiquing society as a whole. Like I find that some of this song has a really eerie vibe that portrays media as an all-seeing entity. Like when I just read the lyrics and I don't listen to the song, I could see this being like one of the essays in like an AP class final exam. Like, break down the multiple layers of this song. Or I guess at that point it would be a poem, right? Look, fact of the matter is that kids are now performing constantly on social media. So what that means is it's causing them to deal with a level of fatigue on a massive scale that has never been seen before. Aries says that the conversation is rancid and that he can't taste it. That's saying that he's desensitized. Like, you can't even tell what's in front of you. You can't even tell what's going on if you're in the mix. Insert the classic frog in the boiling water. Whereas in the past, kids our age could have meaningful conversations that last a super long time. Now we just speak in tongues, these new terms that we come up with that are layered in so many layers of irony. We don't even know what's real anymore. We don't even know what each other mean half the time. Like, I know when I hang out with my friends, 70% at least of what's said are just interpolated memes. And of course, the people I surround myself with, I can still have long form conversations with them. We can have deep talks. It's fine. But I know a couple people who can't do that without the conversation devolving into gossip. Always fail to agree. Like, I can agree to what you're saying, but can I really, if I can't fully 100% understand what you're actually saying, because there's this layer of irony there that if I don't know you super well, I can't like make sense of it yet. And of course, we speak a language, so tone is always a factor. You know, I could say one thing one way and mean one thing, or say it another way with a different cadence, maybe different style, different accent, and it could mean something completely different. Like, I know with my friends, if I say something serious to them, they will listen up. If I say that something serious in a British accent, there's a level of irony there. They know not to take me seriously then. We're just a bunch of shitters for it. I swear to God. It's like we don't even think British people are real. And of course, there's always a layer of irony or speech that every person has specifically to them. I mean, this alone can take hours of conversation to get the rhythm down. What is their tone? What do they mean when that's their tone? What is their cadence? What do they mean when that's their cadence? And there's probably some kind of X factor that we don't have a word for yet. You have to lab a person's speech to really understand what they're saying. And this isn't special to my generation or anything. That's not what I'm saying. Humans and speech have always been really nuanced, and that's really what I like to think about this song really critiquing. You know, I'm just reading way too deep into this song. It's just about drugs, okay? It's just walk away. It's about drugs. I'm gonna move on now.
Hi.
Part 4, through lines and themes. Look, I know sunshine is a metaphor for his happiness that he can never attain. I mean, that shit is easy. It's like the most layup metaphor in the entire album. He talks about sunlight and the sunshine, every other line, every other song. I mean, it's even on the cover of the album. Like, it's pretty straightforward there, right? Another thing that popped into my head is that he never really talks about cigarettes unless it's in context of talking about his parents. So in my head, cigarettes are representative of like a negative influence or a bad time. They're a symbol of both his family and any maybe bad vices he may have or have been a part of in the past. And the third theme that I don't really subscribe to, but I at least wanted to mention it, it's this idea that the community made up that Aries is some sex-crazed addict that is just always talking about sex no matter what it is. There's always some kind of metaphor or triple, quadruple entendre that is for sex. I'm not a huge fan of it because it completely undermines any meaning these songs may actually have just because haha funny joke. And I know that this in and of itself is mainly a joke, but I have seen some other people on Twitter talk about how they actually genuinely subscribe to this idea, and it just makes my head hurt. But I at least just wanted to mention it because I can definitely see where that's coming from, especially on this album. Like, it does fit for the most part. So check it out, I actually got the hoodie this time. Alright, I'm gonna be real with you guys. I really struggled to write some kind of effective closer for this video. So I figured I would just come in now and then just tell you guys about my concert experience, right? So it was like 3 weeks ago, went to the Aries concert and it was amazing, of course. But last night as I was editing, it kind of hit me that I broke down every single song on this album and told you what I thought it meant, but I never once told you what I thought about the song itself. What do I think about the album? What do I think about the song? What do I think about Aries as a whole right now and where he's at in his career? And the answer to that is Aries is at a very interesting point right now. I'm really interested to see what direction he decides to go in moving forward, because this album was way more poppy than the last one was. And like, is he gonna continue to go this pop route, or is he going to go back to the more rapping kind of thing? Regardless, I'm here for the long haul, and I do think I will remain a fan regardless of what he does. But enough attempting to analyze the future. What do I think about this album? I love this album. It's not without its flaws though. This album serves as a very good opposite to what Welcome Home was. I found myself enjoying the very much broader strokes of Welcome Home. As I got into the nitty-gritty details of the songs, it kind of fell off for me. This is completely opposite. I love the nitty-gritty details of this album. Obviously, I just made this entire video on it. In terms of where it stacks up in his discography, I mean, as of right now, there's still only 2 full projects officially released, so that's kind of hard to say. And if you were to ask me which one I like more, I genuinely could not tell you. They both have positives and negatives in their own respect. I like the rawness and more edgy sonic choices of Welcome Home. Like, you're not gonna get a song that's close to Carousel on this album. It just doesn't exist. And thinking back on it, other songs like Genie, Deity, Amy's Grave, Sayonara, Race Car, like, all those songs are amazing in their own right, but they do things sonically that I just enjoy so much that isn't really explored too much on this album. Of course, this album has great songs that I love just as much, like Bounty Hunter for starters. That one does take some really interesting artistic liberties. But I don't know, I guess I'm just getting at, like, it seems way more airtight. It's more surgical than the last album. And of course, naturally, you kind of want to see that when you are growing as a person and Aries is growing as an artist. They're both great for different things, and I'm not going to try to compare them anymore because I've just sat here and racked my brain for the last, like, 10 minutes trying to figure out which one I like more. The answer is there's none. I don't like one more than the other as of right now. Of course, that could change, definitely. Give it some time. Maybe in the future, if I make another video about this, I can let you guys in on that. Or follow me on Twitter. It'll be on there too, most likely. I tweet about music all the time over there, so if you want to hear more of my opinions, I guess, go do that. So what about the concert? The concert was great. There was a lot of interesting things that he did that I found that were the same as his 2019 Welcome Home concert, like the big screen being behind him. That's something that he did last time as well. This one had a really cool intro. He did a couple different songs that I didn't expect him to do. I was actually talking to somebody at the concert. Aries debuted this brand new song that I'd never heard before, but apparently he made it on his stream, and there were some people in the audience that already knew all the words to it, and I was like, what's happening? It just shorted my brain in the moment because, for starters, you're at a concert, you're already a little bit overwhelmed, right? And then this song starts playing, and it's Aries. It sounds like one of his songs, and it just sounds familiar, but it's not one that you've heard before. So I'm like, should I know the words? Should I not know the words? But I got the entire song recorded, and I've been listening to it. It's a lot of fun, and I'm not gonna leak it here, but I'm pretty sure it's already on YouTube somewhere. I believe it's called Who's That Bitch? But yeah, needless to say, I'm really excited for that one to get its official release because it was a lot of fun. But he also did some outliers, like 1,000 Miles. Didn't see that coming. He did Linkin Park as well. Didn't see that one coming. And you know, I got my merch, met some really cool people, talked to a few people, and then listened to some good music. That was really it, and it was amazing. The lines outside were a little bit weird, and I wanted to take pictures while I was in there, but they didn't let me, of course, for some godforsaken reason. Like, yes, I'm gonna somehow hide a weapon within my camera. What? But that's like venue stuff, and I'm not gonna bore you with those details, but the music was amazing. His voice got so much better over the past 2 years, 3 years, it's nuts. All right, anecdote time. This was, like I've already said it multiple times, the longest video I've ever made, and it took me the longest to make it out of anything I've ever worked on. Now, what that means is I found myself hitting lows and lulls in creativity, writer's block. There were multiple points when making this video that I decided I'm just gonna give up. I'm not gonna do it anymore. And so what I did to hold myself accountable is comment on my last Aries video that's getting all the traction saying, hey, I got a video on the new album coming soon. And that really helped me through this, but I honestly couldn't have done it without my friends kind of persuading me like, hey, just stick with it. What's the worst that can happen? But now I'm here. I'm damn near finished with it. I have the entire rest of the video edited, and I'm feeling really good about it. And if you stuck around for this long, I really, really appreciate you. I cannot say that enough. I know I've said that profusely already, right? But just the fact that you listened all the way to the end, listening to me talk, somebody whose speech patterns are god-awful. I don't know whether to thank you, respect you, or be scared of you if you could listen to me talk for this long. Or maybe you, as I hope people would, broke it up, don't listen to it all the way through, because I wouldn't blame you if you couldn't. But regardless, this is the last time I'm gonna say it. Thank you for watching.
Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe to the channel. I got more like this coming. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Now, what do I even say here? Like, goodbye? I don't know. Like, this is the longest video I've ever made, and I feel like it shouldn't be just some regular see you guys next time, you know what I'm saying? But I guess here it is. Drink your water, stay happy, stop playing your fucking games, doing that same ass shit. Bye.
Hello, 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 wasted love, wasted love, wasted love. In the middle of us, these things won't ever please.